Hi, this is Cherise Kenyon, and you're listening to the Beauty Me podcast, all about beauty beyond the BS. This is another video podcast, so if you're watching me on YouTube, be sure to hit subscribe before we go on. So this episode is all about the latest development in the whole Youthforia foundation controversy. If you're not aware, it kind of became known as the black paint in a bottle kind of foundation. It all started on April 29th when content creator Golloria posted this video sharing her thoughts on the darkest shade of Youthforia's Date Night Skin Tint Serum Foundation.
Which side of my face is the black face paint or the Youthforia foundation? You can't tell. You know why? Tar in a bottle.
On the 4th of May, I made a blow-by-blow account about this whole controversy, from Glory's comments to the brand ignoring comments from its customers to expert commentary from the likes of Javon Ford, who is an amazing cosmetic scientist. And I also spoke with a UK-based cosmetic scientist and brand founder, Florence Adepoju. So in that episode, I go through all the ins and outs of this story. It's 35 minutes long. There's a lot there. So I'll share a link in the show notes for you, but it will definitely get you up to speed on this whole Youthforia mess. The most recent development, which is why I'm talking today, is yesterday, the brand posted on their Instagram page. The reason it's a development is, first of all, they haven't posted on Instagram since April 29th, which is, of course, the date Golloria shared her findings. It's also a development because the brand has ignored every single comment that's negative since then. They've liked comments that are positive or responded, but anything that's remotely negative, they've just ignored. So this recent development is quite big in the story, but also it might be a case of way too little, far too late. This happened April 29th, remember? I think what people might have been hoping for when they saw that Youthforia had posted was maybe an apology, or maybe even a, we're going to take this time to learn from this experience and come back and be better. But what they actually did was basically post a job role. I'm going to share the post with you here. It's just 2 slides. It's extremely simple. It's very much Youthforia branded. The font, it's very short. So the first slide says, our commitment to providing inclusive products. The second one doesn't really provide much more than that, but this is what it says. We care about our customers, and as we continue to drive change, we are creating a new position internally dedicated to examining both our current products and those in development so we can best meet your needs. You can read more about our values on our website and learn more about the role on our careers page. To me, that really puts everything on the consumer. It's like, if you want to go to our website and find out what we're thinking, if you want to go and check out the role, there's a tone to this that I don't love. It feels like the brand isn't that concerned. Let's just keep it moving. Like, let's just get past this whole mess. As you can imagine, the comments are ablaze. Oh, and by the way, they haven't replied to those comments. But also on other pages, there's a podcast that I really love, Eyewitness Beauty, and they posted just a very simple post again, asking people their thoughts. And I thought this comment was really interesting. Latia MH said, I went to look at the job and it's product development, a DEI exec, PR, creative director, and influencer relations / comms all in one. This is like putting a band-aid on a gash. These should be separate positions or a combination of 2 and not all, working with each other. And I feel like that comment absolutely sums up a lot of my concerns. They listed 5 different jobs there. I counted 3 when I went to the job description, which I'll get into in a little bit. But first of all, aside from just getting into the comments, which is easy to do, I didn't want to make this whole episode about every other person's comments. I thought, let me go to their website and let me learn more about, their thoughts on inclusivity. So I went to the site. And the first thing that I noticed was like, it's just business as usual. I thought it could have been really cool if they put something on the site like our mission statement moving forward, find out what we're going to change. But it's nothing. It's literally they're just selling products. Even if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the Youthforia homepage, there's no directive to find out more about their values. So if you go to the About section, you can see that they've added 1 paragraph. Or maybe the whole About section is new, but they've added a new paragraph. And the reason I know it's new is because they talk about this job role there. So for me, I'm just like, wow, somebody's been doing their job They posted on Instagram and they added a paragraph to the website. I'm not sure if inclusion was a value before. I should say at this point, before it gets too late, I have had the founder of Youthforia on the show, Fiona Kochan, back in May 2022, I think it was. We were still very much doing IGTV, I think it was. So it was like a live podcast with her. And even during our conversation, I found that she was someone that absolutely does everything. And I think that actually makes me quite nervous about the brand. I feel that she is the brand. And I think if you listen to my conversation with Fiona from May 2022, or you listen to that recent episode where I cover the Youthforia Black Pigment debate in full, you will get this picture that she's extremely hands-on, perhaps controlling is the right word even. But at the same time, I understand when you're starting a brand, you kind of have to do everything. And it sounds like that's what they're expecting from this new person. But anyway, back to their commitment to inclusivity. As I said, there's just one paragraph on the site and it says, Youthforia was founded with the goal of creating a safe space where individual beauty could be celebrated and that people can be true to themselves. Providing inclusive products is 100% aligned with our foundational beliefs. Over the last year, we expanded our shade range based on feedback from the Youthforia community. Inclusion is a lifelong pursuit, and we are continuing to listen to community members and industry experts to help drive meaningful change across our industry. In line with our commitment, we are creating a new position internally dedicated to examining all products in our development pipeline before the official launch to best meet our customers' needs. Again, the language in that mini little, I guess that's their statement about who they are. The language. Over the last year, we expanded our shade range based on feedback from the Youthforia community. I feel that's very much putting the blame on the community for them making such a mistake with this shade range. And then inclusion is a lifelong pursuit, but yet you didn't get it right first time. So as I mentioned there, they're talking about the new role, which again says to me that this whole little teeny weeny spiel about inclusivity is very new to the website. But I thought, let me try and find out more about this role. So I headed to the careers section to find out more and to see if it was in line with the comment I shared earlier. I'll share it for you here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's honestly, it literally is a job description for multiple roles. It's not just one. In the job summary, the role is specified as Director of Product Development to lead development efforts with a focus on inclusivity and the creation of a diverse product line. It then goes on to list key responsibilities as well as diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is known as DEI, one of which is engage with BIPOC community members. I personally hate that word, BIPOC, by the way. It really annoys me. I think is it Black, Indigenous, people of color. Like, you can't say Black people, you can't say Indigenous, you can't say people of color. I don't know. BIPOC, I don't like it. Engage with BIPOC community members, makeup artists, focus groups, and consumer insights to gather feedback and inform product development decisions. Now, this one particularly annoys me. It kind of made me laugh because, of course, isn't this something a brand should have been doing from day one? Engaging with community members, makeup artists, focus groups. Is that not standard? Isn't that what any new brand must do? But also it makes me laugh because I know makeup artists that have been in touch with Youthforia from the very beginning, wanting to work with them, wanting to assist them if they need help with ensuring the shades are right for everyone. And they've always pushed back, always. And I actually noticed on their website, they are looking for makeup artists now. So they're actually also looking for freelance makeup artists and beauty advisors. That one, I don't know if that's about working in store, but I know, for instance, they have been dropped from a couple of stores, Credo and Revolve, for instance. So maybe that's an older job, but my point is, people have wanted Youthforia to win from the beginning. Like, let me not downplay that. Fiona was really onto something with Youthforia. That's why I invited her onto the show back then. That's why I've invited her onto the show again to kind of like have a chat with me about what is happening. Because Youthforia definitely could have shaken things up. Obviously, its real consumer goal was Gen Z, and that's really comes through in their marketing, their terminology. But they did actually also managed to capture people's imagination with things like the blush that would change color. That's science that has been around for decades, but they made it into something new for a younger audience. So I definitely would never discredit the work that Fiona Kochan has done. And I say Fiona Kochan because I don't really know how much bigger her team is. I really think she does a lot. Back to the final kind of part of that new job description. It also encompasses marketing, with the person being expected to collaborate with the marketing team to develop compelling stories, support the creation of marketing materials and campaigns, and analyze market trends and consumer feedback. So that's a marketing job in itself. So we're talking marketing, diversity, equity, inclusion, product development, and as that comment on the Eyewitness Beauty post pointed out, working with influencers. It's just a lot. And the fact that they want all this from one person says to me either they don't have the money to pay for multiple roles or they don't want to pay for multiple roles. This is indeed a band-aid that they're going to stick on and then remove later, as we've seen with so many DEI roles. It's quite interesting that Youthforia is going into DEI because to me it's very outdated. It came in light of very important movements like Black Lives Matter, which was around before 2020, by the way, but obviously it got a lot more traction in 2020 because of the death of George Floyd. Now, DEI came in a year or so later with so many initiatives for change. And I think a lot of brands, they made their changes. They're like, if we wanted to shave money off the budget this year, maybe we should just get rid of that DEI person. It's not really hitting. And I think the reason it isn't hitting is because the role of the DEI person is huge. And I actually think they can become quite a scapegoat. Having diversity or inclusion or equity at the heart of your brand is something that has to come from the entire infrastructure. It has to be part of who you are. So for instance, where Fiona's concerned, that concern has to be part of her. You cannot call yourself a woman of color and a brand owned by a person of color and not have that in you every day because it's part of you. So it's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? I have to throw out Rihanna and Fenty there, the most easy, obvious. It's in her. So the concern is already there. Hiring someone to do DEI, they need to obviously be a person of color, I believe. But then you're bringing them into a business or a system that is mostly white and unconcerned with those same issues. So you've got to really start from the bottom. And unfortunately, that might mean replacing people or at least educating people. But having said that, I am not sure if enough people care about Youthforia anymore. Unfortunately, they've just left a really bitter taste and things can happen so quickly on social media. And Fiona should know that. She is very quick to post on social media. She loves to share. But the fact that the brand has waited about 5 weeks to even give this very vague response, which isn't really a response because there's no apology, there's no addressing what they've done. I don't know if enough people care because brands are going to continue to let us down, aren't they? They already have in the past. But in a world of Fenty, MAC Cosmetics, Makeup Forever, Danessa Myricks, and more, do we need Youthforia? Whether they make a comeback or not, I'm actually really concerned for the person that ends up taking this role. For me, there is a serious lack of care where Youthforia is concerned, especially when it comes to consumers of colour. I think it's blatant disregard and I don't like that. It's only more infuriating when you do consider the fact that Fiona definitely seemed to apply the label of woman of colour when she was promoting the brand. I mentioned that earlier. It kind of feels like a kick in the teeth because I feel that many minority communities, we do tend to extend an olive branch to one another to support one another. So that part is... I really hope that whoever gets to speak to Fiona next, like I said, I have reached out to them. I really hope that they ask the right questions, like how can we begin to trust again? But my concern over this lack of care is rooted in what I've seen. We've got the initial foundation fumble, like putting the black pigment, it's black pigment plus white, basically grey in a bottle to sell to consumers with dark skin tones. That was the first part of the fumble. Then they just went deeper by ignoring their consumer base. The consumers that they still had, the consumers that were like, hey guys, can we have Can we have something for us? And then it turned into, you know what, we don't even want you anymore. So there's that part. But also my concern for the person that takes on this role is also rooted in what I've heard from previous employees of Youthforia. I hope that anyone that takes on the role feels listened to, is valued, and most importantly, is respected, because I have not heard that is the kind of environment that Youthforia stands for. And I'm going to leave it at that. By the way, I did reach out to Youthforia again this week before I knew I was going to record this. And I still haven't heard back, but I would love to speak to somebody from the team. So if anyone's watching or listening, definitely do get in touch. In the meantime, I would love to know what you think. Drop it in the comments or find me on Instagram at Beauty Me Podcast and let me know what you think. Do we even need to care about Youthforia at this point? Or do you think they can make a turnaround with this new person in tow? I would love to know what you think. As always, if you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, and please do leave a rating or review if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you like to listen. As always, thank you for being here. I'll see you next time.